Amos Tversky himself used to be well known for going to watch a movie with his wife, but if he wasn't enjoying it after 10 minutes, he'd leave. And when he was told, well, you've already paid for it, he'd say, exactly. They've already had my money, why should I give them my time as well? One of the original findings of the work of Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman was that we feel more strongly about losses than we do about equivalent gains. Related to this problem is what's called the endowment effect, whereby we value more highly things we already own compared with things we don't own, even if those things are identical. In the non-investing world, the endowment effect is very closely related to the sunk cost bias, whereby we tend to continue with projects for longer than we should, even if it is clear they're going to fail, because we've already invested time or money in that project.
This risk tolerance and position of loss means that we tend to suffer from what's known as the disposition effect. We tend to hold on to loss-making stocks longer than we should. If we have two investors who both own a stock trading at 15, they can have different views about that stock depending on what they paid for it. So if one paid 20 and is suffering a loss, he'll tend to hold on. But if another person paid 10 and is enjoying a gain, he will tend to sell. Whereas in fact, they should be concerned about the expected return from that stock, which of course will be identical. One of the ways that you can avoid the endowment effect is by being as objective as possible. Our judgment about whether a company has a strong competitive position is partly a view, but also partly because we have objective data that backs up those views.
When Netflix first came out, you had to choose movies 3 days in advance and they'd send you a DVD. And this happened to me time and time again, that I'd order the movies on a Sunday, and on Friday night, I've got this set of, French movies from the 1960s with subtitles, and I just want to watch Will Ferrell in some daft comedy, Future Simon likes art house movies, and present Simon likes Will Ferrell.
One of our objectives in creating an investment process is that we have the same decision in different emotional states. An example of a pre-commitment would be to buy a stock if the price had declined by, say, more than 30%, or if it reached someone's so-called buy target.
One issue with the endowment effect is related to another bias from which we suffer, that we undervalue opportunity costs. We tend to value what we have rather than thinking about what we don't have. So we require analysts at all times to compare the stocks that they cover with the stocks that they don't own. And we show them not just stock prices, but we show them how the fundamentals of other companies in the same industry have changed and are changing over time. Our source of edge doesn't come from what we know, it comes from how we behave. The information we use is freely available to all investors. The kind of research we do is very disciplined, it's very structured, but it's not noticeably different from the methods and processes used by other investment managers. So the key edge, the source of edge, it's the knowledge of the biases that afflict us and what we've done to set up processes and structures to help overcome those biases.